start to welcome people into our lives here.
I hope you did that as a joke, Nick. I hope you did it as a joke.
For our Celtics Post Game Show. We're already talking over each other, guys. We haven't even started. We're super excited, right?
We got a lot to say.
So again, we'll wait here for people to adjust their sets and realize that Nick Gelso is in fact on the show. That is not Bobby Manning.
Bobby Manning did not get stung by a bee.
That's about 100 pounds heavier, John.
Before we get but easily just as sexy. So we're gonna wait here, get the crowd going, get people involved. I don't blame you if you didn't watch this game. I don't blame you if you're not here for postgame. I promise we will put forth much greater effort on this show than the Celtics did this afternoon on their game. This was gross. It felt like one of these games, right? Didn't it feel like this was going to be a rock bottom game before it started? When Bobby was sending us a text like, "Here's the starting lineup. They better win this game." I mean, I was like, they're gonna lose today. This felt just like that Knicks game, right? That Knicks matinee when they didn't show up. And again, before Nick starts in here, and yes, Brad Stevens will be fired before the end of this show. That's a certainty with Nick on here. Before Nick starts in here, I will say that to me is a true failure of preparedness and focus and whatever you want to put it, whether you put it on the coach or all the players in this case. Because I got a target for today. It's not Stevens, and we'll get to it in a little bit, but it was a disgraceful effort. Start to finish. So since Nick, we'll give Nick first bite at the apple here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Just say it for me. No, it was a gutless. It sums up what I have felt this entire season has been. And I don't have anything else to say. I mean, Tatum, no-show. Oh, boy. I'm not apologizing.
No, man. No, not apology.
You can for Marcus Smart. Because he's the only guy with the heart and a pulse, and he was back in Boston or he was on the bench injured because let him shoot, because at least he shows up every game. Jayson Tatum, probably the worst game of his career. No heart, no passion, gutless, not a Celtics team.
Jimmy?
That's my negativity, John.
I have to, unfortunately, echo what Nick's saying right now. I don't think I come on this show and just bash the Celtics every single episode. So when I actually,
I think
I'm pretty. I think no, I don't think you do. I think I'm pretty fair. I'll praise them when they do well. I criticize them when they don't. They deserve every bit of bashing today. I mean, this was a pathetic performance. I mean, you could argue that Jayson Tatum shouldn't have even came out in the second half. They should have just kept him in the locker room, honestly.
Not only for preservation, Jimmy, this might have been a moment to send a little message. Like,
that's what I'm saying.
It's obvious you don't want to play today, Jayson. It's obvious you're not into this game. It was everything. It was on defense, standing around, the switches, the shot choices, the lazy, all of those fouls, so lazy. The last offensive foul he got, same thing. He's like, I don't have the energy to put on a move here, so I'm just going to lower my shoulder and hope it doesn't get called. Every single aspect of his game was absolute dog shit.
Yeah.
Slow, like he didn't want to be there.
Yeah.
Right. I think what pissed me off the most, too, was the laziness in the passing. It's like, come on, Celtics. Again, so many impressive stretches throughout the last two games where they were looking so cohesive and you saw the passing. Obviously, 2 games ago was the best example of that. But we're seeing them go back, revert to this pattern of pass, stand around, pass, stand around. And Tatum, you were the one that was keeping this thing going. Like, you are the reason why so many open looks were there for Shemi Ojale. Why Shemi and Pritchard broke a record, a couple nights ago at TD Garden or a few nights ago at TD Garden. You're the reason that happens. Listen, if you're not going to be able to be scoring, Celtics fans need 8, 9, 10 assists out of you easily on a night like this. You had 4 assists, but they were ugly, right? So many ugly passes, a lot of turnovers.
As a team, guys, I mean, and I know the final stats are a little better, but and again, I want to pull it up here, but it was something like, let me see the final numbers here. It was something along the lines of, I think, like early into the fourth quarter, they were 7 assists and 16 turnovers. This was in the fourth quarter by the time it was, you're basically about to embark on taco time. And that number got padded near the end. So they ended up 14, 17. So, but That's where that game was. That's still a
Because
gross.
Taco.
That's a
Taco.
gross
They had 10 turnovers by halftime. I mean,
that's terrible assist to turnover ratio.
I would say one bright spot, but it isn't, would be Kemba Walker. But all his points came from the 3-point line again. He is either
you got to blend
confidence.
both things.
He had a ton of drives this game.
That's
You're
easily
right.
the brightest spot.
This was his first.
Right.
That was actually this was his first
My
game
bad.
where he actually did some damage
Yeah.
going to the basket.
Yeah, that spot is actually brighter than your background.
Field on the box score.
It's a brighter spot, actually.
Yeah, I mean, he was again. I was going to jokingly put the 2-point field goal percentage in again tonight, just for you guys to see it. But 9 of 18, but 4 of 7 from 3. But that means he made 5 buckets in close, which isn't bad considering he hadn't been doing that. His blocked shot rate was just through the roof. Well, who sent the stat around the other day where it like historic levels of the amount of shots he's having being blocked?
That was something going around Twitter. Yeah, he's being blocked.
Yeah, it wasn't one of us, but it was something
It had to be a
else.
Bobby. But listen, I take that back. I was looking at the wrong field. Kemba was the lone bright spot tonight, and hopefully they can build off that. And as far as Josue goes, he said it perfectly. Jayson Tatum will not be a superstar until he figures out how to do other things when he can't score. He can't. I have no knowledge of this, but it almost looked like were all crying in a fight before the game. They all were moping around. The body language was terrible. Jayson Tatum, you got to dole out assists and grab rebounds.
So
yeah, that's a good point, guys.
I don't know if you guys
are we going to continue to say it's just because they're playing early, these matinee starts, or is there something to it here? You know, to what Nick's saying.
Oh, come on.
Well, this is the thing. Is like before the game, Brad Stevens spoke to reporters, and I just was looking at his quotes on Twitter, and he said something about how their internal body clock is way off or it's out of whack and all that stuff. It's almost like he knew going into this game that they were going to just put it together a shit effort today. But like, how can you let that happen? Like, how can you give that excuse? Oh, our internal body clock is off. Like, come on. This is the NBA. Everyone's playing the same schedule. Everyone's back-to-backs and flying in this place and that place and dealing with COVID, and everyone's dealing with the same shit. So don't give your players an excuse to just play that type of.
Well, they all have that. They all have that same excuse, and so everybody. So
it's not an excuse.
I'm saying yes. That's what I'm saying is you can't use it because everyone else does. The only option at this point would be more load management to keep guys fresh, both mentally and physically, which you don't have the luxury of doing because this roster basically has 3 NBA players on it. So you got to pick and choose your spots. They're 13-13 now. You could have ended up with this record right now if you decided to strategically sit some of your best players here and there for getting better efforts in games where you've lost to the Pistons twice and the Wizards once right now. You know, like, I mean, come on, guys. You know, cash in the Lakers game. You know,
yeah,
you know?
Yeah.
Do
If we're
John,
switching it off,
John, it's like this. Sorry.
Go.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say
Nick.
It's like this. They've not
Nick,
earned
go right now.
anything to be able to not show. They've all earned. Oh boy, somebody called me in the middle of that. Sorry. They've not earned yet the right to not show up for slow games or for down games or bottom feeder games. Like, I don't think that's ever. But like, you know, good teams do that occasionally. It's hard to get up for that game. This is a bad team.
They're not good.
They're bad, right? So they need to like go and kick the balls off of Washington and Detroit and these pathetic puddle teams. Like, no heart.
Nick is trying so hard not to criticize Brad right now.
Mm-hmm.
It's discipline. I told him beforehand, I don't want this to be a bitch fest between you and Jimmy about Brad. But we'll get there.
We'll get there. Yeah, it's going to get there. The conversation
deserves criticism today. I agree completely. I mean,
but
where do you want to start?
Yeah, right.
I mean, again, I think I did start it off. I mean, I think he set for a shitty performance this afternoon, you know, telling reporters that their internal body clocks are all out of whack. It's like, cry me a river, guys. Like, get out there and play the damn game. It's 48 minutes. You know, half the guys are, you know, missing time anyways for various reasons. So just put it together, you know? I mean.
Can I say one thing before we launch into it fully?
Yeah, of course.
in defense of what's going to come Brad's way and what's already coming in the chats here, I will say one thing, okay? The thing with Brad Stevens is he's supposed to have the ability to coach underachievers and underdogs. This with
correct.
Them, okay, so that's. I don't know if you're going to say Brad's failing at the thing he's supposed to be good at, or it's indicative of just how poor this roster is. And again, I know in Celtics world, we get stuck in these ridiculous, like, ebbs and flows where we're talking about Semi Ojeley's legit. Look at him. He's a real contributor. And like, I just don't think we look at it with the same eyes that like anybody on the outside looking in sees. And they see a roster that is filled with guys who are more like 8, 9, 10 back end of your rotation players than they are possible, starters or 25-minute a game guys. Like every team has 2 Semi Ojeleys, okay? And they don't play them very often. Even the bad teams, like everyone's got these guys. They're all
the Bobbies of the world. The Bobbies of the world put these guys up on a pedestal that they don't belong on. He's not here right now to defend himself. But
they're roster filler, these guys, okay? They're usually guys who fill out the back end of your roster, but here they're 5 through 8 rotation style players, or because that's just what you've got. It says / starting every once in a while. You're starting Grant Williams and Semi Ojeley. These guys are back end of the roster
John,
players.
As I listen to you say that, and you're making so much sense, but it makes me, you know what I think about when I hear that? How we squandered away a great roster in 16, 17, 18. We had 3-year window there where you had one of the best teams in the NBA, and what happened? He couldn't control the personalities. He couldn't get them to run the plays. I'm going to tell you, I think they're doing it again. Maybe it's the young guys. Maybe it's not Kyrie.
That's the one legit criticism I've always had that I agree with is if you're going to – the reason I don't go in on Brad this year is because I think the roster is so bad. Brad has always historically gotten his teams to play extremely high-level defense, not happening this year. And they don't – they respect. He has a very high basketball IQ, and his players typically like him. Okay, the only time I ever see a reason to remove a coach is incompetence, which Stevens obviously isn't. He's very competent. Or 2, mutiny, which means they freaking hate him, like a Thibodeau situation or whatever you've had in other places where I hate this guy. So when you start asking for a hard ass coach, look at all of the places that hasn't worked out. There's a friggin' ton of them. So. It's sometimes it's easy to say Brad's not right for this team. I don't know who is. You bring in some coach who yells and screams and then loses Tatum and Brown and they walk. So I don't know.
That's not the answer.
So I don't know what is the answer, because I do think Brad gets a lot of heat because people want to see him, like we said, throw chairs and do all of this stuff and get mad and get these guys to play. But I just don't know. That's where I get. That's where I get stuck here on this Brad thing. What do you do here? I mean, Jimmy, where are you on this one?
With the roster, I mean,
with
it goes
Brad,
back.
I don't know how much I can put on Brad with this roster.
Well, we all know that the coach in any sport is always the first one to get the criticism. He's the first one to go, whether it's fair or not. I'm certainly not advocating for that to happen here. I think that part of it is the roster, John, but the other part of it is, I mean, this team went to the Eastern Conference Finals last year. They're not much different roster-wise than they were last year.
Yeah, there's no Ennis.
Yeah, well, I mean, they lost Hayward, obviously, so that is one big difference there.
He barely played, and he missed half the playoffs.
I know, but that's the thing is he's been so off and on throughout his Celtics career. I don't even know how much of that you can put on this year's issues. But Nick mentioned the fact that Marcus Smart's been out for this uninspiring stretch here. Maybe that has something to do with their play. But it is what I do put on Brad is he's supposed to set the tone for the guys. He's supposed to make them want to get up and play hard, and make them play hard for each other, make them play hard for the coach, make them play hard for, the fans if you want to go there, although there's no fans right now. But these guys are playing uninspiring basketball. And as Jaylen Brown said last year, that starts at the top. So they can look at themselves, they can look at the coaching staff, but it's on the stars and it's on Brad to get these players playing the way they're supposed to be. Listen, the roster has its issues for the reasons John mentioned. They're playing with a lot of guys that have no business starting or no business playing, 20 plus minutes a game. They've got some young players that haven't proven themselves at all. Some of them haven't even gotten on the damn court. Romeo, Neesmith, guys like
All of a
that who are
sudden,
contributing zero. Rob can barely get time, and he didn't even look that good today either. It's spurts, but whatever.
Jayson.
So there's honestly a million ways you can go with it, but I think Brad certainly deserves some of the blame. Just like, we want to do blame pie. You want to play blame pie?
We always can.
I mean, look, play something.
The whole point is this. You're right, Jimmy. It's everybody's job. Like if Tatum and Brown are surrounded by people who aren't as good as them, it's their job to elevate them. If Brad has a roster that's a little mismanaged, it's his job to make the most of it. It's a little poorly constructed. Right. And then Danny has to friggin' go out and get these guys help, or they're gonna die. Like you're gonna burn them out. Like right now, I don't know whether it's tired, burnout, or just simply like are Tatum and Brown starting to get deflated, looking around and saying like, am I going 110% for these losers right now? Like, it is demoralizing. It's demoralizing.
I don't think that's it. I don't think
that's what I think happened today.
Really, that stuff happens. I think that's very natural. I don't think that's. I don't think that's. Josue, go ahead.
No, absolutely, it's natural, Jimmy. I mean, listen, Jayson Tatum. These guys have been playing. Well, him and Jalen, excuse me, have been playing a whole lot of minutes, over 40 minutes. These 3 games and what was it, 3 games in 5 days or 4 days back to back home. Yeah, you're at home, but still this back to back coming off of a 5-game road trip, and not to forget, or not to mention the fact that Jayson Tatum, was out with COVID not too long ago. I think there's some truth to that. Jayson Tatum.
Though? I'm saying they're not purposely playing like shit because they're sick of their
roster. Purposely.
Yeah.
I just think
I want to get rid of them.
No, I don't think it's
not purposely, but I disagree that they're putting together a shit effort because they're sick of their teammates. I don't think that's it. I think what Josue is saying is that they're just worn down, which is very possible.
I don't think they're saying. I don't think it's a James Harden situation where you look around and say, "F this, I'm mailing it in." I think it's you don't realize you're doing it, but you're doing it situation because
especially against teams like the Wizards, right?
Yeah, and you're like, man, because now they're stuck. They don't know what to do anymore. Like, am I supposed to take every shot here? Do I work? Do I get them involved? What am I supposed to do with these guys? I don't know if they know what to do.
Especially, we could all say all. We could say all that. Yeah, I agree. But when you don't have, you don't show up, you don't have energy, and you don't give it effort. To me, that has to come from the top. That has to come from a mentality in your locker room, a culture around you. And I've seen it way too much over the last 3 years, let alone this year. And I don't know what you do, to be honest, but I know you don't trash Danny Ainge. Danny Ainge has put together great rosters for this guy, and it seems to always amount to much of drama. And now, is it possible that Tatum and Brown are getting to superstar level where that's Brad's cutoff point? Where he can't coach them anymore because their personalities are getting in the way, or I don't know, but I do know. Brad Stevens, if you're going to keep him, you need a strong player coach. It's not Evan Turner. It's not Walter McCarty, clearly. You need a strong player coach that can relate to the players, that can look at them and say, I've been where you are. And they don't have it right now.
I put this comment up here from Hans, who's a regular and one of my favorite commenters here.
That's a great one.
But this always drives me freaking nuts. It drives me about as crazy as like a relief pitcher saying, I need to know what my role is. Am I an 8th inning guy? Am I a 9th inning guy? Just friggin' go out there and pitch. Same exact thing. Like, you're a professional athlete at the highest level. You need
22-year-old.
This is where you're saying it, Nick. Like, you need a guy who's been there before to get somebody to go out there and play hard. Did Tatum and Brown initially, as soon as their points per game clicked up over 25, all of a sudden be like, I'm a superstar now. I need a superstar coach. I need to be handled differently.
I don't know.
Like, what happens? Is that a gear that flips and all of a sudden, like, you start acting and behaving differently? This guy that got you to this level isn't good enough anymore. It's such a cop-out.
I'm not disagreeing with you, but aren't we out of excuses? I mean, they suck. I'm
No, it's
sorry.
definitely a cop
If
out.
you have three, Josue, if you have 3 stars, like the Washington Wizards who just destroyed us, the Celtics, they would kill for Kemba,
You
Tatum, and
said us.
Brown.
That's a demerit.
I
Yeah,
know, but
man, you messed up there.
I've caught y'all doing it, by the
You
way.
That's
No,
messed
we
up,
haven't.
John. Are you gonna call him
I've
out on
caught
that?
y'all doing it.
You called
Nick's
him
off
out
the
on
show.
that. That's true.
I've caught y'all doing it, and
Nick's
let me
off the
tell
show.
you,
Okay.
Well,
that was-
Yeah.
Never
We're
have
trying
I
to say
ever.
that we do it.
That's it.
Never
30
have I ever.
seconds in the
Anyway.
penalty. 30
I'm-
seconds in the penalty box for Nick for saying we.
All right, I'll
No,
get into
no
my
one-
point then. In the meantime,
Okay, you go.
in the meantime, I'll get to my point. No, you know what? That's a good point from
And
Hans
yes,
here.
we all do it.
Because listen, Jayson Tatum, you can't have it both ways, right? Before the narrative was, oh yeah, he's doing all this and he's getting all this experience and deep runs to the playoffs at such a young age. He's not like most younger players, most younger superstars, right? He's got some playoff experience underneath his belt, correct, right? And then when something like this happens, oh well, he's
I'm getting crapped on for my hat.
he's got all this experience, but he needs a
I
coach
told
to
you.
really bring him to the next level. Well, wait a minute. Is he the one that's so experienced that he's already a top 10 player in the NBA before the age of 25? Or is he the one that's, oh yeah, he's really talented, but he needs a little more guidance because he's not quite there yet, even though he's been to the Eastern Conference Finals 3 times out of the last 4 years.
For
You
the
get what I'm
people
saying?
in the
Like,
chat, for the people in
you
the
can't
chat
have it
saying
both ways.
yeah. For the people in chat saying you need Greg Popovich, there's one Greg
No,
Popovich, and there's
yeah.
only been one Greg Popovich for the last 30 years in the NBA. Enough.
Right.
One of him.
Listen,
There's one Bill Belichick.
Exactly. But my point is
There's
that
one
it's not
Phil
Brad's
Jackson.
job to do that.
Yeah.
Tatum should do it on his own.
Agree,
Like,
Josue.
that doesn't fall on Brad.
Yes.
No,
Agreed.
It,
No, I don't know.
It doesn't
I-
fall on Brad. Oh, I'm talking for a second. It doesn't fall on Brad, but I
Jimmy
think that
Cam.
he's. I think it starts with Brad. It doesn't fall on Brad, but I think it kind of starts with your coach. I mean, it just why have a coach then? Well, I mean, just have anybody. I guess the coaching doesn't matter apparently. I think you are a product of your environment. So when they are out there playing like dog shit today and uninspiring basketball, that tells me that there is some sort of disconnect in the locker room, whether it's from coach to player or player to player or front office to players. Maybe there's trade rumors that are bothering these guys. I don't know what it is, but like I said, product of your environment. So if you're playing this way, something is wrong.
Yeah,
I'm not
I'd agree
saying
with
it's
that.
Brad's fault or it's Brad's job to fire these guys up. I mean, they're all adults. They're all NBA players making a lot of money, and they're obviously very talented. They don't need Brad to be a cheerleader, but there's got to be some sort of
I agree
play
with
for
that.
me, play for each other thing going on here.
I agree with that.
I just, like I said, this is again, what are you bringing in? What's the next guy?
There's
that's
none.
the thing. Like,
So
what's the alternative? Like, to
What's
all
the
Celtics fans
alternative?
that say, oh, they need a new coach. Oh, they need a new big man. Give me options. What do you have in mind here? Who is this
our
savior
problem
of a big man, and who's the coach that's going to come and save the day?
That's the thing, Josue. Our problem, and Nick, I'm sorry, I'll jump in right after. Our problem is that as media, as critics, as fans, whatever the hell it is, we see something and we say fix it. It's like looking at your friggin' Nissan Sentra and saying go 100 miles an hour. Like it doesn't go 100. Like I can barely get it to 65 on the highway. Like it's a piece of junk. I can't do it. It's like looking at somebody and say be taller. You can't just be taller. Like there are certain things here this team can't do. It just isn't. And there's just certain things that are beyond the control of the head coach. But immediately when we don't have answers, the easy thing to do is say it's the coach's fault. He's got to get him up for it. Like there's just such a thing as just bad. And right now they're bad. And again, I'm not making excuses. I'm just simply saying a team this thin, without Smart, missing starters on and off, and still, like I said, banged up. They need everything. They have no, it's not an excuse. I just think they have no margin for error. So any little thing that goes off for this team sets them sideways because they have really, really poor depth right now.
I wish
they're
Bobby
not a
was
Nissan
here,
Sentra.
or we had a producer today, because I'd love to see both last year's roster and this year's roster side to side. Because besides Ennis and Hayward, I can't find much difference. Is there a ton of difference? So what's different? The mentality. Who starts the mentality? It's the coaching staff. Now, someone in the chat room said something that is not a new take, but it made me think of something. Okay, so this past week, Josue and Max's show, they had on Jared Sullinger. I'm not saying bring Sully back, although he does look great and he does rebound.
Sully looks
But
good.
there we go.
Sully looks better than Grant.
He looks better than a lot of them, and he grabs rebounds. But the point here is, one thing Sully said that made a lot of sense when Max kind of asked him, "Where did it go wrong for you?" And he flat out said, "When Kevin Garnett left, so did I." Basically, he checked out as KG checked out because that fire it was contagious, and I think the Celtics are lacking that type personality. Can you bring KG? The other guy is such a boomer, John. And I'm younger than him by like 5 years, just so we're all on the same page.
Look how Nick reads out loud.
You know,
Yeah.
and I am younger
We know
than John. So anyway, but what I was saying was, you bring somebody like a KG around the team, a big man coach, maybe that's gonna make a difference. Because
I've been saying that.
yeah, I mean, they need a player's coach. And don't give me that bullshit, John, because even the best of teams needed player coaches. I mean, it's just when you're on the grind on an 82 game, and these guys are playing, 80 schedule.
I'm saying there are good player coaches, there are bad player coaches, there are good non-player coaches, there are bad non-player coaches.
Sure.
I'm not just basically saying this type of player, this
Right.
type of coach fixes it. That's all.
No, right.
And you also can
no
bring
one
in-
here.
You
No,
can bring
sorry,
in those
Jimmy, no one here is saying that fire Brad. I never said that. I'm not saying that. I don't think anybody is, because there is no alternative.
I thought you were one bad loss from saying that. My bad.
No, I would never say it. I just want the media to keep them honest. That's the thing. I mean, the Celtics media, and you can play this on Twitter. I don't care. And I could imitate the press conference right now.
No,
right?
we don't need you
Brad,
to do that. We don't
3
need you to
minutes
do that.
into the first quarter, what was the PNR and the ATO from the Excel spreadsheet of the? And Brad looks at them like this. Like, no, ask him what's wrong with the fucking team.
Whoa!
That's it. That's 30
Get him outta
seconds right
here.
there. Gone.
Out of here.
He's out.
He's off the
You got a
rails.
point.
That's a minute. This is a 2-minute penalty. We're gonna have 5 minutes and a misconduct next time.
What happened to Ubuntu? Yeah, Ubuntu is long gone, unfortunately. That was something that really did help the 08 team in those years. They were a brotherhood. That's what Ubuntu was. It was, do for me as I would do for you, and we're one and all, and everything like that, all that cute stuff. But it worked. I mean, they played their hearts out. Came up short in a lot of those seasons, but mostly due to injury, anything else. Bad words, exactly. It is definitely a cop out to just blame the coach for everything. Obviously, and I don't think we're doing that.
Boomer rage. Yeah, that rage is legit. Boomer rage.
No, it's usually me. I'm glad to share it.
No, man, that's not you. Thinking of my pops.
Nick gets genuinely upset. So that's a passionate take right there by Nick. I'm sure a lot of Celtics fans feel the same way he does.
Yeah,
probably have.
All right, we're gonna free. There's calls to free Nick, so we'll see what happens here. All right, buddy.
I just want to say, I'm still yawning. Boomer rage. I love it. We need a T-shirt.
Wait, do it.
This on
You're back.
Valentine's Day too. All this on Valentine's Day.
Finish your point.
No, I mean that's my point. Is that
show some love?
Someone asked Brad, what's wrong with this team? And if he says we're not playing well, immediately respond why. Don't ask yes or no questions and stop asking questions and giving the answers. And stop. All right, I'm done. But that's my rage. It's more with our double standard on how we cover this guy. When things are adversity, and the Celtics are playing great, Brad is a hero. But when they suck, like they have the last 3 seasons when it counts, no one says a damn word. They like to hear themselves talk to Brad.
Nick at noon.
Yeah, there's some of that. Sure.
Boomer rage. I love that.
Nick at noon.
I'm not a boomer.
You sure?
I'm positive. I'll show you my ID.
We've determined this. A boomer is anybody over 25, Nick. Okay?
Yeah, but that boomer rage is legit, though. Jeez.
Then I'm turn of the century.
I'll show you my ID.
Worse motion than the coach. Thank you, Jayson.
If you didn't like the halftime show of the Super Bowl, then you're a boomer now, I guess. That's the new.
Yeah.
Kenny G show up?
I didn't like it. Kenny G did not show up.
Kenny G.
That was one of the worst predictions these ears have ever heard.
The best post.
I love it. That's gonna be one of our. This is our merch, by the way. Boomer Rage.
Your reaction and Nick's reaction was so funny. Like, what? Kenny
I had to stop Bobby. I was so confused by what he was saying. I was like, what are we talking about?
Not only the prediction.
Is that a new rapper I know about? Kenny G?
Not only the prediction, but almost kind of like how like spiritually it felt like Bobby needed it to happen. He's like
really?
that would be the gem, you know, like
he was so confident.
He's gonna kill it.
Michael Bolton, I celebrate his entire catalog. You know, it was like that.
Fabio. Boomerang. Maybe Fabio.
I think next to the Horford jersey, there's a Kenny G poster there. I swear, there's a Kenny G poster in Bobby's room.
Maybe Kenny G could come and play in the locker room.
People need Kenny G. We need Kenny G to heal.
8 games in 12 days is a legitimate issue.
Yeah.
But that's why we thought that Jaylen Brown was going to miss like the last game. I mean, they can rest these guys. No one's preventing them from doing that. Why won't he?
He played last game. The second night of a back-to-back after the whole tendonitis report.
Can I ask a boomer question?
Yes.
When did championships become chips?
Yeah, that's a good question.
That's a great question. I want to say
I hate it
more often. Like 2012, 2013, maybe.
As like standard vernacular, or has it really picked up steam?
It's picked up a lot of steam since up until now. It's picked up. I mean, I think the best
social media.
The best indication of it when you hear Mike Breen drop it. He's been dropping it for like 3 or 4 years now. When Mike Breen starts saying stuff like, I don't know, AF, like this is great. Like I think Mike Breen's that guy. When he says it, it's like, okay, now it's done. It's officially
it's over.
Mainstream.
Let's all just say right now, Mark Jackson is not the answer for Brad Stevens. We could all just stop.
Mark Jackson, get out. Please. Who said Mark Jackson?
Please. The whole time this is the second time I've heard it.
If I find that comment,
Jimmy, it's there, John. And also,
remove him. He's not allowed to watch the show.
Championships. I like it.
I don't call it chips for the record. I'll call it a ring before I call it a chip.
Yeah.
Did Nick kick himself out?
Probably.
I think you did it. I thought you did.
I did not get mad.
Boomer's trying to figure out the Wi-Fi. His password's 27 letters and numbers.
Yeah. Boomer's gonna boom.
But Boomer gonna boom. Absolutely.
All right.
You're right though. It's picked up. It's more mainstream.
Brad a boomer? Is Brad a boomer? You might be a boomer too.
Oh, there you are. Taj Flowers. Are you Mark Jackson? I will not, Taj. I respect it, okay? Rage quit. That's a rage quit from Nick. Nick, I did not penalize you, dude. What happened?
Thanks for calling, Daddy.
Oh, get out of here.
What is he doing? Ordering takeout?
Is he ordering food?
Oh, my God.
Unbelievable.
Yo, hold on. Let's ask him what he ordered.
Okay, Nick, you can't operate the controls anymore. Where are you going?
Nick.
I think he's ordering some takeout, some Thai.
This is why we don't have this guy on the show.
This is why you can't have good things.
This is exactly Exhibit A. He's ordering Chinese food middle of the show. He doesn't know when he's on, when he's off.
He's coming on and just like.
So you heard that too, right, Jimmy? Okay, all right. I thought I heard that accent. That's the accent I thought I heard.
Holy crap! All right, I didn't want to. So the other story subplot. Look, everybody sucked, right? We got it, and we know it, and that's that.
Oh wait. Well, here's what I want to say. I mean, John, you called the Celtics a Nissan Sentra, which I think is a little unfair. I don't think they're.
I meant the rest of the roster. I'm not lumping.
John's giving you the teacher eye. John's giving Nick that look.
Or what?
Yeah, my grocery shop being up in the middle of the show.
Being asked to leave the room.
Okay.
Sorry. I didn't ask permission. My groceries just showed up.
Okay. Text us.
Yeah, well.
I did. I've been.
Okay. Ready?
Okay.
What do we got?
Unbelievable.
Jimmy, where was your thing before I change gears? Because I
Yeah,
want to
no,
change somewhere.
I was gonna say I think the Celtics are capable of getting in that fast lane, right, and rolling a little bit here. They're not completely lost. And the other thing is this: you have no choice. This is the team. If you wanted to, that's one thing, but you're not going to really be able to make any major trades with the pieces that you have because you want to keep your Jalen and your Jayson. And after that, I imagine you want to keep Marcus Smart too because that would really shake things up. You don't have to go big. I'm almost done. But what I was just basically saying is get used to this team. They're going to have to get used to playing with each other, whether they like to or not. They are not worse than Centra.
I only mentioned a Centra because I drove one in college. It was my and it had no AC, no power, anything, and the alternator had broken.
Sounds like a while.
I'd have to park it on a hill and kickstart the clutch to get it going. And so to me, it's the symbol. No offense to Nissan, in case they ever choose to advertise at one point or other. I'm pretty sure the Centra has been out of circulation for a while, but yeah,
Ultima's
that was
a nice one.
That's why I picked Centra. So real quick, I did want to switch gears here. This is, I wonder if like Brad did this just to shut us all up, because we were begging from Nesmith to play, and he absolutely played. And again, it's probably a byproduct of as much the schedule. The 3 games in 4 days, he had to work in some people. He definitely decided, you could tell early, it's one of those games he was going quick rotations. It was like hockey changes, Mm-hmm. He brought people in, cycled them in early, but Nesmith gets in at about the 7-minute mark of the first quarter, plays meaningful minutes in the second. While the game was still competitive, he was at the 20-something minute mark. He actually came back in for garbage time to get him to 28. Amazingly, his +10 was the highest on the team, though a lot of that was accumulated in that last stint, but he played it almost dead even. That being said, prior to the garbage time stretch, those were 22 of the least impactful minutes I've ever seen a human being make on the basketball court. He was literally invisible except for when he was getting called for fouls that may or may not have been fouls. That situation where Grant hurled the ball out of bounds because he thought Nesmith was going to stay and he kind of cut towards the whatever. He took every open shot that came his way, which I'm fine with. He just happened to not make any of them. And he just did generally look like a totally useless. I mean, he was running up the court and then running back down the court and then up the court and then down the court. But that's about all he did. He made next to no impact. And
guys, I'm playing basketball.
Look, yeah.
So he did more than Ozil.
And the thing is, at the end of the day,
though
I begged for him to play, and I will be among the first of many to acknowledge he absolutely did nothing and he wasn't impressive at all. I want more of these. I want to see another 20 minutes next game, and 20 minutes after that, and 20 minutes after that. I sink or swim. I want to see if he can play.
Same with Rob. Rob only got 10 minutes. I think Pritchard got 17. These guys need to be playing more, especially if we're talking about, Jaylen Brown and Jayson Tatum are so tired. They're worn out. Then play these other guys. You're going to lose anyways, and you might as well play them.
I love how Bobby will definitely count that +10 when referring to Nesmith. We're going to hear it. It was +10 last time. It went on the spreadsheet.
That +10 is because of my guy Taco, and I know no one wants to talk about him, but he continues to earn playing time in my book. You only get 5 minutes today? 5 garbage time minutes.
For who?
Taco watch. Taco should have been playing in this third quarter the way these guys were, the effort that they showed out there. Put Taco in the game.
I don't know about all that top noise, but I'm with you, John. I want to see more Nesmith. My only thing with that is that this upcoming game against the Nuggets, that's not ideal, right? I'm talking about games like this against the Wizards, or games like they got a back-to-back against the Hawks. Unleash him. I agree. Get him out there. Get his reps in. I'm with you.
Hawks feels like another 20-minute game if the Nuggets is not, because it's a Tuesday, Wednesday, back-to-back. Absolutely. You got 3 and 4 nights there. I can absolutely see some minutes. And again, pick your spots, Josue. I totally agree. But I mean, we put the stat up last game, 2 minutes over 7 games. He plays 28 tonight. Couldn't you have found a way to get 5, 6, 8, and 10 minutes in there? I mean, you're bringing Carson. What is Carson Edwards going to bring you that I mean, I get it. Maybe you have a teeny bit more faith in him now, but you need this wing position. You need it bad. You got to get something out of it off the bench. You have to develop him. and then you have to hope Romeo can do something. You have to do it.
And it's almost unfair to Neesmith for us to, sit up here and criticize because he goes from a DNP for the last 2 weeks to then playing 30 minutes. We're just supposed to just expect him to just not skip a beat. Like John just said, you got to find a way to get him 8 minutes, 10 minutes, 12 minutes.
Right.
Like, you can't tell me that they can't find those minutes at the end of the second quarter or, end of the third quarter, something like that, just to get him going a little bit.
He plays better by playing. I agree with this one, Zen. That's what we keep saying.
They don't practice. There's no other place for him to get better.
Right. That's it. That's what we said last show. Yeah.
I've been thinking about this a lot since the last show I was on. And Jimmy, one of the things that he loved to beat me up for was always wanting to have the crowd as a segment on our Garden reports from the Garden.
Oh, my God.
It used to drive him crazy. But I'm a big guy for the crowd. And I'm going to tell you, I think this team misses the home crowd. I think, if there were fans at the Garden coming back from this road trip, the fans that are going apeshit in the chat room would be in the stands, and they're going to prop them up. So I think that needs to be said as much as
they'd be hurling items at the team.
Yeah, well, maybe that's what they need, Jimmy. Maybe they need to see their fans boo them off the court because that's how they're playing. We've seen it on all the teams over the years. When the teams don't play, Boston fans are going to kick ass. And I'm going to tell you, the Celtics miss the home crowd.
Yeah,
is that a real person?
Dorian Roberts. Sure, a lot of people miss. A lot of teams miss their home crowds. Obviously, there is an advantage. Boston has a very good home crowd and home court advantage, but they got smoked today in Washington, didn't they?
Yeah, but that's a home game, Jimmy. Josue and I know it. We covered the whole series there. There weren't any Washington fans.
Fine. Well, you know what?
No, it makes a difference, and I think
it does make a difference. But we sit here and talk about it. I mean, it's not.
I know.
Happening.
Look, we heard early bubble when Brown and Tatum and those guys, and they needed that kick in the butt there, and they're like, it doesn't feel like basketball. And we kind of killed them for those comments. We're like, guys, you're professionals, figure it out. It still doesn't change the fact that some people need it, play off of it, feed off of it, and it makes a huge difference in how they come after it. And these guys, as Jalen and Jayson, are the types of guys that don't generate that friggin' next level in your face fire on their own. They kind of have their own method about getting after stuff. They absolutely level up with everybody does, but I think it's super important for these guys. I don't disagree there. I think that motivation and that kick in the butt to keep going. The Garden crowd is amazing. I mean, we joked about what Kuzma said in the Lakers game when he was mic'd up, and he's talking about like, oh man, to a teammate, you got to play here. Like, Lakers fans are posers. These guys are friggin' animals. Like, it's a big difference. It's a big difference.
Big difference. Big.
It is.
And especially when you're on a streak like this, when you're really, really down on yourself, they're either going to kick you in the ass or they're going to lift you up, and they're getting either. I just keep seeing the picture of Paul Pierce slapping five. Please just leave it outside my door. I'll get it after the show. But
give the man a tip.
Let me just go. But anyway, I keep seeing Paul Pierce slapping five with Jayson Tatum. I mean, everything about this season is eerie and awkward to me. I don't even enjoy watching it without fans. In the bubble, you knew there were no fans, and the basketball was kick ass. This is bullshit. Like my 6-year-old mini basketball is better than this. This is terrible. And all the threes. Brad's offense sucks, guys. It sucks. As much as you are all talking about the defense because it's uncharacteristic, the offense sucks. Do they call plays? I used to know Doc's plays. That's number one mention of Doc. I used to know Doc's plays. Right
Casey
here.
Jones is next.
Play. Casey Jones was the perfect player coach for Bill Fitch.
Casey was so chill.
I get that, but every team's dealing with that. And look, they can't.
I agree.
They can't change that right now. And I think what they need to figure out is how to get each other pumped up from within. Now, one person that comes to mind, the only one out of the top tier players on the Celtics team that has that in his DNA, that's Marcus Smart, right? I mean, this team, Marcus Smart comes back. We'll see what that does to him. But heading into the trade deadline, I mean, how valuable is Marcus Smart if you really think about it? Like when Marcus Smart is out there, I see a different team, a different attitude. But this year, I don't know whether it was the Pritchard thing or whether it was the awkwardness between seasons.
Yeah,
and
it makes a difference because Marcus Smart's kind of one of those guys where it's like, it's basically you almost feel guilty if he goes out there and he does one of those Marcus things.
He's got that KG vibe where like he'll make
bring it yourself a little bit.
Accountable.
So
Right.
whether he goes in the locker room and throws chairs or gets in Jalen's face after the game or something like that, it's really more a matter of you're almost embarrassed to walk through a game when he's out there doing his thing. So you need a few of those moments here. We're going to wrap up in a minute. We do want to talk about our sponsor again, Maragal Medical, stem cell therapy. Anybody who has aches, pains, lots of different ailments that you're not able to get settled up here, you go to maragalmedical.com. You can set up a free consult or call 978-537-0555 to set it up. Tell them Cedric Maxwell sent you for that free consult. And again, Nick and Josue here, I know you guys, if you want to say a quick word, took Max here, and we've said it every show. He did get this therapy on his knee. It was life-changing for him. So obviously something that if you're having some issues here and you can't figure it out and you want a long-term fix, this is a really good option.
Well, Max said it on the radio broadcast today. He could score against the Celtics today. That's because of Maragal Medical.
Yep.
And I'll tell you what, Josue, the other thing I think it needs to be said, what they're fighting here is obviously they are educating you on how to recover from knee injury after a stem cell, which is what Kemba got, but also it's keeping people off opioids. That's a big one.
Yeah,
big
good point.
That's
a good point too.
Organic, and the program the program that they have Max on. Yeah. Again, we talked about before. He's just said nothing but good things.
He's dunking.
After he was a little nervous about the whole thing. I mean, anyone would be, right? I mean, this is something that maybe it's something that you don't talk to or talk about with your friends, but you're seeing this commercial saying like, maybe that's something I need, a long-term fix that you're not quite sure or you're hesitant. I mean, just take Max's word for it, I would say. Yeah.
All right, guys, let's wrap it up. Let's wrap it up real quick. Thoughts heading into Tuesday, things you want to see change.
Brad, no, just kidding.
Yeah.
I just want to see them show up.
Yeah. Point guard Tatum. I need point guard Tatum back. I love that pick. Point guard Tatum is it just opened up so many opportunities, and that window of opportunities they're gonna need, and they're gonna need it times 10 going up against the Nuggets and that beast out there, and Jokic, the Joker, MVP like numbers, man, and he's been I listen, between him and Joel Embiid, take your pick, but this is my guy. I'm a huge Jokic guy.
Legit. It's gonna be 4 or 5 MVP candidates, and he's one of them. Absolutely, Jimmy.
It's gonna be tough, man. That guy, it's incredible, and he's fun to watch. He's like he does everything. He's like a point guard, power forward, shooter. He does it all. Celtics are in trouble for sure. But
all right, Jimmy, I gotta make Valentine's Day. I gotta make Valentine's Day dinner, guys. So we gotta go.
And my
Jimmy,
groceries are perishable. Okay.
Oh, that's what's going on here. I was like, John usually wants to kick it. John's getting the evil.
Gotta go. See the flowers back there? We gotta go.
Well,
Jimmy, what you got?
It's funny that you say Valentine's Day because it's a good reminder to all the single guys out there that the Celtics don't love you either, because the performance they showed today.
Yeah.
They didn't do themselves any favors in my book today. I want to see something completely different on Tuesday. I want to see effort, and if I don't, Stevens needs to pull these guys, give them the quick hook, let them know that this shit isn't gonna fly, and Danny Ainge might need to get on the horn too, because he's the one pushing all the buttons and pulling all the strings. So if he needs at the end of the day, it's his roster. So if there's an issue with the makeup of this team, we'll do something about it.
Yeah. All right. For me, give me Neesmith or give me death. Okay.
20 minutes. Let him go, right?
Give it to me. I don't care. 20 minutes. I'll take whatever happens. Give me Neesmith every game. Okay. Yeah. And then when Romeo comes back, give me some Romeo. You know why? Because I don't want to get into another conversation with Bobby Manning about the value of Semi Ojeleye. Okay. That's it.
Oh, true.
Yeah, that's it. I don't want to do it. But we love all of you. It is Valentine's Day. We love our viewers.
Yeah, we love you.
Right. Thank you.
And thank you. It's Sunday. Go be with your plants. Go be with your significant others. Go get your grocery deliveries.
That's right.
Do whatever you need to do. Subscribe to our YouTube channels. You get notified when we go live. Subscribe
That's
to
right.
every one of our podcasts, and it's an unbelievable array of basketball pods. Starts with Josue Pavon with Causeway Street. We have Jeff Goodman and Bob Ryan. We have Cedric Maxwell. We have Winning Plays with B-Rob and Michael Pina and Rich Levine. We have the A-List with A. Sherrod Blakely. We, of course, have our franchise program, Celtics Beat, with Adam Kaufman and Evan Valenti. We literally, and we have this, the Garden Report, that you can get an audio version of as well. So you should subscribe to this. Both our post-game shows and anything we do during the week, you're going to get the audio version here if you subscribe. So do all of that. Be back on Tuesday. Julian, I don't know, man. The Jimmy John podcast, maybe.
Still in works. Still in development phase.
Still in development.
Right. All right,
So,
guys.
yeah.
Happy Valentine's Day.
And
Absolutely.
happy Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
Well, guys,
Thank you for
one more
joining,
thing.
Nick.
The heart.
More Nick, we want.
Alright,
The
thanks.
people want more Nick. They've spoken.
And also, one more thing
Bobby
for
will be
Valentine's
back.
Day. All you
More
ladies out there, put your man in the photo this time. All right. Don't take a picture of the meal or his hands and show. No. Okay, he worked hard and he paid for all that. All right. I'm sick and tired of these girls that not putting their man in the photos anymore. They want to show the gifts and they want to show the food, but they don't want to show the actual person.
Well, as soon as they do it up in the gram, they lose a bunch of followers. So that,
Right.
What's it gonna
Right,
be?
that's why.
What's it gonna
They
be,
want-
ladies?
They care too much about the followers.
I have to
third.
say that I know John's probably the only one who saw this, but did you see on that court case where the guy had the cat?
Yes,
filter on
everybody
his-
saw it.
That's such a
Funny was
boomer.
that?
That's such a boomer thing. To
Literally
say.
everyone
That's
with the
why I said
internet.
John. This side of that.
Every single person with the internet saw that.
That was so funny. I just saw it this morning.
Get him out of
Bye.
here.